Can you believe it? It's already the end of week 3 for Isolation Nation. We're the only ones out there that really take mental health seriously. Look at this face. Oh, Riggs, we're on.
Hey, I'm the Lion King, or the Tiger King, or whatever the hell you call me, and I'm gonna murder you. Oh no. What?
We're on.
We're on!
I'm on Isolation Nation.
Back. Why am I wearing this amazing hat, by the way?
That's right, boy. Back in 2010, I carried this thing for the Olympics. What an honor.
Wearing all brown from Atwood, Ontario, Wrigley, Landsberg. It's my ball, damn it! Today, Isolation Nation, the place where you gotta turn if you're thinking, man, I'm going out of my mind.
Uh-oh.
Today, Canadian goalkeeper Steph Labbe, she won a... Whoa! Keep going. She won a bronze medal in Brazil. She's gonna join us at 5.
Oh. Honestly, that is like one of the funniest things that has ever happened. Wrigley going with his paw and slapping the selfie stick out of Casey's hand. What a dog. You got to respect that. Hey, folks, Isolation Nation. That's the name of the show that we picked because it rhymes and everyone likes a good rhyme. And the purpose of this show really is to do what we just did there, which is to try to be silly sometimes and try to have fun and try to explore other facets of mental health other than the deadly serious stuff. And we know that mental illness is a crippling factor in our society. We know that COVID-19 has made it bigger, made it worse. But that doesn't mean that sometimes you can't smile or you can't invite guests on your show who are both knowledgeable and also entertaining, like you, Jeff Burrows. What a pleasure to meet you from Tea Party. You formed Tea Party with a couple of buddies, right? In 1990, am I correct?
Oh yeah, but it harkens back all the way from grade school and high school, to be honest. But yeah, for serious, 1990.
You started drumming. How old were you?
I was around 10 years old, right after piano. I didn't think I could get the chicks, with piano. So
right, but the drummers are you see on off the record. We used to put drummers and lead singers on, and they would always offer the lead singer, right? But the lead singers they had kind of a swagger, right? And you know what? They like not a lot of humility, but the drummers, man,
yeah,
those guys were the gold. What was the name of the drummer from Moist? Do you remember? Paul?
No, but Paul, he had the shaved head.
He had the shaved head.
I was invited on your show at one point, and I ended up having some shows, and I was excited because I think it was either Ty Domi, who I played hockey with when I was a kid, or Tiger Williams. But I think Paul ended up on with Tiger, right?
It was Tiger. Oh my God, I can't believe you actually knew that. It was Paul Wilcox, right?
Yes.
And Paul Wilcox, Tiger Williams walks in the room. I mean, this doesn't have a lot to do with mental health, although Tiger is freaking crazy, so maybe it does. Walks in the room, and Paul Wilcox goes over, oh my God, Tiger Williams, man, I love you. And Tiger Williams looks at him, and he's got a nose ring, right? And he goes, well, I bet your mother's ashamed of you. And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, it's freaking disgrace. And he didn't say freaking. And Wilcox goes, oh man, I can't believe this. Tiger Williams is insulting me. This is awesome. Yeah. The drummers, they're where the gold is. Good to see you, man.
You too, pal. Very good.
Yeah. So share with us your experience with mental health over the last decade, and then we'll talk about the last couple of months.
Yeah. Okay. So I think as a teenager, I had a little bit of an issue, but over the last 10 years, especially around 10 years ago, it started hitting me. The band had taken a hiatus, and you start to have that existential question of who are you and what are you doing with your life? Because essentially your existence was wrapped around everything band. How's the band doing? Are you recording? Are you on tour? Are you writing right now? And when that ended, it sent me for a loop, and it made me really think and struggle with the identity and so on. So I think once I wrapped my head around it and met with some great people and have an amazing wife for a million years, we got through it and everything worked itself out good. Since the virus, I went into it, head first. I think I think so many of us did, and thought we got this, and let's just do what we're supposed to do. And I've been doing well enough. It's just lately, literally the last 5-6 days, it just seems to be getting harder and harder. And I don't know if it's the social media news coming in, or the blasts of what one professional doctor is saying standing next to a certain president, or what he's saying compared to what the doctor just said, and all of this confusing information. I think it's sending quite a few people for a ride, and it can be a tough nut to swallow.
Yeah, I have spoken to on this show. I think this is our 13th show. We have a respected psychiatrist on the show today. So I think 11 of the 13 shows I've spoken to professionals, either psychologists or psychiatrists, and every single one will tell you one of the first things you should do if you're struggling is turn the TV off, or turn the TV to something other than CNN or MSNBC. God forbid anyone's watching Fox, because if they are, they can't be helped. But it's so oppressive. It's so overwhelming to hear the news and hear, what the future may hold. And it's so hard to have perspective.
It really is. And, I've got, my wife is a nurse. My father's wife is a nurse. I know so many frontline workers, and it's the worry. It's the general concern. It's not the panic, because you can't panic, but it's just that overall, there's like a wet jacket lying over top of all of us right now.
Now, I remember, or at least I think I remember, maybe I'm making this up, maybe I was just daydreaming about Tea Party, but you guys, I think you played SARS relief concert, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Now wasn't there like 500,000 people there?
Yeah, that was amazing. When we got off stage at the point that we played at 2:30 or 3:30 in the afternoon, at that point, we had literally played in front of more people at one time than the Rolling Stones had. So when it came for the media scrum, because the Stones hadn't been on yet that day, when it came to the media scrum, we were quite proud of the fact that, we had played in front of more people than the Stones ever had.
You know what's bizarre though? In this era of social distancing, where everybody on the planet will tell you, stay away from other people. Don't. It just seems bizarre that when SARS was a pandemic, that the relief concert, there was 500,000 people standing basically beside each other. I'm sure it was well past the time, was it? But still, it just seemed kind of bizarre.
Yeah, different. I don't want to speak as if I'm a doctor, but it's a different type of strain, and the way it manifests itself and works itself is much different. I know that much, and I'll let the doctors do the doctor work.
My brother's a doctor, which gives me a certain license to speak about medicine. And my dad was an orthodontist, which means that I can talk about teeth too. So you just asked me a question. Did you do the music for NHL 2002?
Oh, the video game?
Yeah.
We were on that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, look at you. Like you've done so many things like NHL 2002. You can't possibly remember.
I'm not the video game guy. We have a very talented cat in our band, Stuart Choward. He does video games for Prince of Persia. Wow. That's amazing. I'm not making the assumption because you're a musician, because you play in a band, because you've toured. And seriously, like, this is an actual serious question. Obviously, drugs and alcohol are a big factor in your profession. And I think drugs and alcohol at this point in our time, because of this pandemic, are becoming a greater problem. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to have said, oh my God, I can't wait to have my first glass of wine. How have you handled that? And I went, pardon me, I went the opposite way. Before this became a public pandemic, I had committed myself to 100 days sober. I mean, I'll have beer once a week and wine once a week. Whereas I said, I'm going to do 100 days and get to, I do this 24-hour drum marathon where I raise money for mental health charities in Windsor. And I usually end that with one beer, because I usually do 30 days, but I said 100 days. Well, then this happened and everything got canceled. So in the last 60 days, I've had wine 4 times. So I kind of went the other way. I didn't want to, fall into that rabbit hole,
Okay. Well, can you stick around for a little while? I'd like to talk to the other guys, and then you come back, but find something that you can drum on. Okay.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right. I mean,
I'll be right
anything, like I said to you before, bring your kids in and, drum on their heads. I'm good with that.
I'm in the kitchen. I'm going to make a pots and pans set.
Okay. Awesome.
All right.
Thanks. I'll talk to you in about 10 minutes.
All right. Thank you.
Michael Tibollo, you are the Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, which is a weird way for me to phrase it because I just told you who you are. But I'm going to tell you who I see you as now, which is a person who is doing, to me, one of the most important jobs we can do, because as a society, I think most of us have looked and said, sometimes psychiatry, psychology get left behind. First of all, pleasure to meet you today.
Pleasure to meet you as well, Michael.
Now, you were elected for the first time, right? You were a lawyer before that. In 2018, you were elected Vaughan Woodbridge, right?
Correct. I was a practicing lawyer, and my background is in mental health and addictions as well. I used to run a residential therapeutic community in Vaughan.
Was that Caritas?
Yes, it was. It is.
And you're supposed to jump in at that point and go, wow, how'd you know that? But you know what? It's okay. I don't need your praise at this point. I'm going to give you praise, though. You're doing something that I don't think exists across the country, does it? The minister, that portfolio or that file doesn't exist in every province, does it?
No, it actually only exists in 2 other provinces, in BC and in Alberta.
Wow, I had no idea. So, do you think the number of people that will require your services, and when I mean your services, obviously I mean the government services, do you think the number of people will increase? Obviously, it will be with COVID-19, but any idea how much? Is this going to be a far bigger problem, do you think?
Yeah, well, we are aware of the fact that there are going to be more people that are going to need supports. We already see that there's about 1 million people before the pandemic that were going and seeking help in the province of Ontario. So we think, there's going to be an increase. We are monitoring the helplines to see how many more people are calling in, to try to keep an eye on the situation, and also to make sure that we have the supports that we can provide virtually to give people the opportunity to get help.
So let's go back in time when COVID-19 first became, I won't even say an issue, but when you first started hearing about it, because it wouldn't have landed on your desk right away because it's virus, right? And I imagine there's other ministers and other ministries that are responsible for physical ailments. But then when were you aware that there will be a mental health component to this?
Well, part of the work that I'm doing in my studies is I'm actually working on a doctorate right now in clinical psychology. I'm focusing, and one of the things that I was focused on is crisis management. And in situations of crisis, typically there is a higher level of needs when people are facing stress and trauma. So I knew that there was going to be an increase. What really alerted me to it was when we had that false alarm on our phones at Pickering, there was a spike, even with just a false alarm, of people that became concerned and started looking and making phone calls looking for help. So we knew that there was going to be, and there's going to be, an increase. Now, how substantial that increase is, it's hard to say, but we know, for instance, with PTSD, 90% of the population has the resiliency to cope, but that 10% is what the concern is, that they will look for supports.
I know that I was doing iodine shooters like the next day when that warning went out. Let me think of how to phrase this. Obviously you were committed to mental health before COVID-19, but since COVID-19 has struck, what has the ministry done to increase the possibility of getting help, and also the methods of getting help? Because it's not like, Javeed Sukhera is a psychiatrist. He's going to join us in a few moments. It's not like he's got office hours going on right now. So what have you guys done to take that into account?
Yeah, and he probably does have office hours, although they may be virtual. But what we've done, we made an investment of about $12 million in addition to the work that we were doing. I guess ironically, we came out with our roadmap to mental wellness about 2 weeks before the pandemic hit. And part of that was a mindability program, which is a structured psychotherapy. It includes things like virtual care, so internet-based cognitive behavioral therapy. We started rolling those programs out and working towards that. Really, what this pandemic has done is it's forced us as a government to look at what we were planning to do over a longer period of time and kind of compress it down and push it out a lot faster.
Before you run on your way to help your daughter deliver pasta, you'll tell us about that in a second. I'm wondering, most of us in the mental health space, and when I say the mental health space, I'm not giving myself a promotion. I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything other than a professional patient who can talk about his struggles in a candid way. But most of us have said for a long time, long before you got into government, that when it comes to the brain, if you have Parkinson's, there's a lot of treatment out there and there's a lot of places to go. But if you have depression or if you have anxiety, the resources are not nearly as strong. Do you agree with that, first of all?
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I came to government. I didn't want a career change in the late years of my life. But what I found was that the stigma associated with mental health was forcing people to keep it and live with it and not really talk about it. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is the fact that we are talking about it now. We're bringing it out into the open and dealing with it. And I keep on telling people that want to hear it, you can't be healthy unless you have mental health. You could be I've seen, and I hate to use the example, police officers in the top shape of their lives commit suicide because of mental health, depression, anxiety, PTSD. So we can deal with those underlying issues. There is help out there. And we've got to get away from the stigma associated with that. The more we talk about it, the more we communicate with each other, the more we share experiences. And that's what I want to say to the people watching. Isolation Nation is a great name for the program because we are isolated. But that doesn't mean that the distancing and the isolation should not allow us to continue socializing and sharing spirituality, sharing who we are with each other, because that's what's going to build the resiliency and the coping skills to get us through these difficult times. So don't be afraid to reach out, to talk to someone. We've got Connects Ontario, we've got the kids helplines. They are all connected into the network that we've built to provide the supports virtually for now. And then the good doctor, will be seeing people face to face soon enough when we get out of this. But in the meantime, there are supports there. People do care. And focus on that, focus on the good, focus on the caring and the sharing that's going on as, the resiliency and the hope that we should have with each other and for us in the future.
Nicely put. I mentioned your daughter is probably out delivering pasta, or you're going to get out there and deliver pasta for her. Sorry, you see how I changed? I went from pasta to pasta when I realized I was talking to a guy from Woodbridge. Like, oh my God, I don't want you to go to your like friends in Woodbridge and go, I was on with this guy in Landsberg. He kept saying pasta. What is your daughter doing to provide pasta?
Well, she came up with this idea that there's a lot of seniors that, because of the isolation, the fact that they have to stay at home, they would rely on their kids to bring them food, or alternatively would go out and shop and cook for themselves, or during holidays, whether Passover or Easter, they'd get together with the family. So she came up with this idea. She got donations from a bunch of different companies. She raised some money through GoFundMe, and she's served now over 10,000 meals. And she went from not only helping individuals, the nonnas and the nonnos of Toronto, of the GTA. Right. She's now doing it with all the first responders and the frontline people, so that they're having 300-400 meals delivered to hospitals, to fire stations, to now she's decided the people that are collecting the garbage deserve to have a meal delivered to them, because at the end of the day, sanitation is an important aspect that we take for granted in these big cities. So she's doing that kind of thing. And it's, I think, keeping us kind of, socially distant in the house, because each of us is doing a piece of this project in the off hours that we have. And, it's great to see the smiles on the doctors and the nurses' faces, and the firefighters and the police officers and the paramedics. It's been really wonderful and humbling, because, they're putting their lives on the line for us.
How can people donate?
She's got, I think it's Pasta It Forward. gmail.com is the
Okay, let's start this
address.
all over again, because this is the big moment when you got to sell it, right? So we'll try that again. Take two in 3, 2, 1. Michael, before you go, tell us how people can offer to help out or maybe donate.
They can go to, I think there's a Facebook page called Pasta It Forward. There is also an email address. So if you'd like to be a delivery person, I became the first minister Uber delivery. That's my job. But if you'd like to do some deliveries, if you need some help or know of people that would like a meal, and it's pasta al forno, which is an amazing dish prepared professionally in a hall. If you know of someone that may want it, or you want to contribute some funds to help feed the frontline and first responders, pastaitforward@gmail.com.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, Mike.
Yeah. I look forward to talking to you again. Hopefully we won't be stashed away, but this is going to go on for a little while. And, hearing your words certainly makes it easier for some of us. And I just wanted to say, certainly.
Oh, wise guy, eh?
He's got, that's awesome. Wise guy, eh? He's got 3 Stooges. If you just tilt your camera up a little bit, I think we can see Curly, Larry, and Mo there. And I noticed it beforehand. I'm a Stooges fan too. So let's talk about that again, and the Raptors in the future and the Maple Leafs.
Laughter, Michael, laughter is the best medicine, right? In times of difficulty, in times of sadness, in times of, and good, clean laughter. So that's one of the best remedies that I'm sure the doctor will agree with me, and Jeff will agree with me as well.
Thanks again. Good to talk to you. Say hi to your family for me, and I'm going to be in touch. I'd love to do some delivering.
Sounds good. All the best to you too.
Thanks.
Stay safe, everyone.
Very nice. Michael Tibollo, who's a minister who, you notice one thing that he did there that not a lot of politicians do is he didn't ramble on. Oh my God. I mean, sometimes you run the risk with politicians who will go from, you ask a question and the answer to A is B. And then before you know it, they're on C, D, E, and they're talking about something that you didn't really know or care about. So great job by him. Javeed, we'll get to you in a second. Right now, we welcome to the show Celine Dion. Celine, I'm just wondering, how are you doing with this thing called social distancing?
Hello, Michael, and hello to everyone watching. You're welcome for me being on the show. Now, I want to tell you, I have been doing the social distancing, but for me, it's very easy because you see, when you is celebrity, you are used to hiding from everyone because they go, "Hey, Celine, I love your music, give me money." So you learn to be, a little bit comme ci, comme ça, to stay away.
Is there a song that you could sing that you think will help people through these really tough times?
The song that I have in my heart right now is the song, "The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round with loud." And you know that the first time I sang that song to my baby, they spoke their first words. They go, "Mama, hush."
So forget the song now. Do you have a message for your fans who may be really struggling right now, Celine?
If I have a message for anyone out there who is going through hard time, I want to say, I understand, You are not Celine, you are you. But still, you must continue to try. You can try to become a little more like me. So just have hope in your heart. And everything will work out okay.
Oh,
You're welcome.
Oh, that is awesome. Celine Dion, also known in some circles as comedian Jessica Holmes, who really is, first of all, incredibly giving. Second of all, incredibly well-spoken when it comes to mental health. And third of all, she does a really good Celine Dion. Javeed Sukhera, you are, I'm just reading the letters now, HBSc, MD, PhD, DAB, PN, no idea what that is, and FRCP. How are you, Javeed? Thank you for being patient.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm doing well, ready for the weekend.
How are you going to distinguish the weekday from the weekend?
It's all kind of blending together, but trying to get some predictability. I have a home office in my basement where I try to do the work and leave it so that there's some sense of difference.
Now you have so many letters beside your name, and so many aspects of your life professionally. But you've concentrated a lot on pediatric, right? Pediatric psychiatry, and I know chronic pain as well. But in terms of pediatric psychiatry, let's dive right in and say, okay, well, kids at this time, do you see there being a residual, a leftover when COVID-19 leaves?
I think so. I mean, one thing I'm totally impressed by, though, is that there's a lot of resilience out there in general. A lot of kids are actually doing better than their parents in many ways. I know my kids are really trying to sail through this, and I think it is going to leave a mark, but I don't think it's necessarily going to leave a bad mark. There's going to be a greater awareness of things, and at the end of the day, I think that this is just going to be part of what defines this generation.
How old are your kids?
I have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old.
And have they not asked you, or let me put that just as a question, have they asked you, oh my God, am I going to get sick, or am I going to die? Or are you going to die? Is one of my grandparents going to die? Have they asked you that?
All of the above. Every day we try to carve out some space for conversations like that. And, each of them are dealing with it in their own way. What I find the most remarkable is when they actually talk to themselves, and I hear them having conversations with each other, because it's amazing to me the insight with which they're kind of analyzing things, and the amount of information that they have to digest is just so much. But they've kind of done their best. Each of them's adjusting differently to this whole homeschooling thing, which isn't easy for a lot of kids.
Yeah, not easy for a lot of parents also. My wife and I have kidded because my son was much like me, kind of tortured by school. And oh my God, if we were homeschooling him now, I don't care whether the US lets you in. I'm driving south and I'm not stopping. But fortunately, he made it through school, and that's not a factor now. When you look at your practice, when you look at COVID-19, what do you say to people who've, unlike those that have come to it freshly with this pandemic, those that had existing mental health struggles, do you see those getting magnified?
Well, it's tough. Everybody's responding in a different way. For some people, this is really, really tough. They were already dealing with a lot. And then to have to add this extra chronic stress, it's just spilling over. And they're seeing it physically. They're seeing it at night with major issues with insomnia. And for other people, it's really so difficult because their natural supports, people that they connected to, they don't have that same opportunity. And that amplification of existing anxiety is a real problem for a lot of people I'm working with, whereas there's others who are actually doing better. So I think everybody's having a different individual reaction. There's really no size fits all in this situation.
My son has, like me, suffered from anxieties from a very young age, and we actually had identical fears. It's like he's my own son. Oh my God. But when I asked him, because I do a video blog every day, and I asked him as a guest on the video blog, I said, so how are you doing? You have OCD issues, you have germophobia issues for sure. This must be a nightmare for you. And he said, actually, no, not at all. Now it's just like the rest of the world is learning how I live every day. I'm no more freaked out today than I was 2 months ago, because I was freaked out 2 months ago. So he was saying how it really did make a difference.
Yeah, what's huge about this is many people who haven't suffered are experiencing a vulnerability.
Yes.
That we can connect with people who have suffered. Like if you think of doctors, nurses, first responders, the fear that people are feeling that's normal to an extent, and that vulnerability that we're feeling, that's what a lot of people who suffer from mental illness suffer from all the time. So actually it creates this amazing opportunity to truly take each other's perspective and connect in a different way.
This was really good portable information. How are you doing, by the way? I mean, people don't usually ask the doctor how the doctor's doing. You have a life outside of being a doctor. You have kids that you worry about. I mentioned grandparents, and you said all of the above. So how are you doing?
No, I'm doing okay right now. It's always a roller coaster for me. Each week is a different week. I was on call the entire long weekend, so I'm sort of coming off a stretch of almost 2 straight weeks of working every day. So I'm pretty tired, and I'm ready to take a break. But every day has highs and lows like everybody else. There's amazing moments of hope and inspiration from all sorts of sources. And then there's times where you're just really afraid and uncertain. And I think that's those are the very human feelings that a lot of us in healthcare are going through right now.
Here's a question from Facebook Case. Yeah, I find phone appointments very difficult. Any advice? That's actually an awesome question, because there's a totally different dynamic. I mean, I've been to a psychiatrist, and I've sat in her office, and I think it would be very different doing it the way we're talking now.
Yeah, no, I think there's a huge challenge for a lot of people. You just don't have that same level of connection, phone or video. I was doing an assessment today where our video connection broke down 3 times.
Oh.
So, it's really challenging to connect across that digital divide. I think we just have to acknowledge it, that, it's not going to be that great to do it by phone, and we don't want to do it by phone. It's just that phone is better than no connection at all. And we're all trying to make sure that people know that even if things aren't available physically, that we're still definitely available. And it's just a matter of maintaining that connection and not dropping it.
Hey, Javeed, thanks for this. I'm looking at the letters after your name. I'm not sure what they mean, but I'm a huge noticer of the fact that acronyms seem to exist in our world, obviously, but especially the world of psychology and psychiatry and medicine. So I've been trying to write something that conveys thoughts in my head, but using mostly acronyms. So I'm going to add a paragraph to it. I've written 3 paragraphs, and I'm adding one today as a tribute to Javeed Sukhera, HBSc, MD, PhD, DA, BPN, FRCPC. And I started talking about this when I was making reference to my mom. And I said, when I think about my mom dying a year and a half ago, it makes me sad, but it doesn't make me depressed. And there's a big difference between sadness and depression. So here goes. Born with GAD, some ADD, touch of OCD. Parents had a PhD in TLC. OMG, mom's RIP. I'm a POW while my SRI is MIA, sending an SOS, going to CVS for my RX. My MD asked me to go PP, said it's BYOB, said he checked for an STD. I said, show me some RESPECT. Try CBT, maybe ECT. Need an EKG for PTSD. Got no PMS or PPD. Little worried about some HPV. That's all I got. Until next time.
Awesome. I want that. I want that in quotes. I want that in writing. It's
you
know
what?
Brilliant.
I don't know about that, but what I will do though is I will send it to you and ask you for more acronyms. Right? I'm always looking to add to it. Pleasure to meet you, man.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great guest. We're 3 for 3 today. Jeff Burrows. Let's see if you can. Well, you're running the anchor leg now, right? You're the fourth. You ran the first leg and the fourth leg. And I said to you, Jeff Burrows from Tea Party, along with Jeff Martin and Stuart Chatwood, I said, when you come back, you gotta find something to drum on. Did you do that?
I did find some things, but now I'm thinking with that rap paragraph that you just did, I should send you a click track. You record your rap paragraph. I'm going to lay some drums down on it, and we'll create a brand new intro for your program.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Because whatever anyone does in life, when you get the opportunity to do something that is not what you generally do every day, it's so exciting. So what do you got there?
I pulled up these little things, and I've got too many of them. Oh, hang on. Here we go. But there's nothing. Why don't you do your little rap thing again for me, and I'll play along, okay?
Okay, hold on one sec. Just give me a second here.
Turn my volume up.
You good to go?
Hang on, I'm getting a third one.
You let me know when.
Go ahead. I look like Neil Peart I'm the Neil Peart of pots right now. Okay.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Okay, you ready? You want to count in?
Okay. 1,
2, 3, 4.
See, hold on. How am I supposed to know 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm supposed to go? The rest of the world counts down.
You had a good beat going, your rhythm going. I'll chime in. You go ahead.
Okay, I'll do it. 3, 2, 1. Born with GAD, some ADD, touch of OCD. Parents had a PhD in TLC. OMG, mom's RIP. I'm a POW while my SRI is MIA. Setting an SOS, going to CVS for my RX. My MD asked me to go PP, said it's BYOB, said he checked for an STD. I said, show me some RESP ECT. Try CBT, maybe ECT, need an EKG for PTSD. Got no PMS or PPD, little worried about some HPV. I don't know how much of you we caught there, but
I had the pots going. We'll see. If it didn't turn out, I'll make you a wonderful souffle. I don't know.
Do you cook?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, if when this is all over and you and I have continued bonding, and I come to your house for dinner, what are you going to make?
We'll probably do like a nice Thai dish, unless you have a peanut allergy or anything.
No. And even if I did, it'd be worth it because Thai food is awesome.
Really
I'm also a vegetarian, and that works out perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, pleasure to meet you. Let's all assemble again in the future. And I'm going to be. I can tell you as soon as I say so long, I'm going to text you and talk to you about building the rap thing, man. Because you know what? I follow in a long line, a great tradition of. Not middle age, because that would assume that I'm going to live to 120. Whatever my age is, white Jewish men of my age, we have a rich history of being outstanding rappers. So we got to add to that, man. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, you too, sir.
Okay, that's Jeff Burrows. Wow, this is fun today. Really fun. My daughter gave me the thumbs up, which is great because sometimes she gives me like the look like, you suck today, Dad. Okay, so Sean Cullen. Sean Cullen was, he is a guy that we've turned to every day for advice on how to handle social distancing and on how to get back to community. Like today, he's talking about how to support local restaurants. Roll it, Phil.
From Isolation Nation, and now online dating is very difficult. How do you meet someone? How do you keep them interested? Here's what I think you should do. Meet them online, then arrange a Zoom chat and say, let me show you on the doll where I will touch you. Let me show you on the doll where I will touch you. This is the only time this particular thing will happen when you're not going to prison. Wash your hands. Wipe your bum.
I blew the intro. I talked about the restaurants. That was yesterday. Today it was different, but equally funny. I don't think I spoiled anything. Words of wisdom at the end of the show. At least I see them as words of wisdom. You may go, well, that's pretty stupid, but who cares? It's my show. Try to give you and leave you with something today. I think a lot about this. Helping one person actually helps two. If you give help, you get help. The act of giving actually gives back to you without you even knowing it. These guests were awesome today. Can't wait for Monday. I've got an exciting weekend planned. I don't know about you. I'm going to do everything that I've done all week long, except no radio show. This is called Isolation Nation, a chance to gather and talk about things that people don't always talk about. And we appreciate the guests. We appreciate you watching. And we'll see you Monday on IN. You see what I did there? I took the first letter of isolation and the N from nation and I put them together like an acronym.